It's interesting. This week I was reading an article. This really, really challenging article, um, and it was asking the question around why do people, probably more poignantly, why do Christians, people who are supposed to be caring and loving, how come they find it so easy to kind of turn a blind eye or not really show care towards what was going on in Libya? So obviously, for those that don't know, recently there came out some video footage of basically what's looked like human auctioning. Libyan people being sold as slaves in like an auction, and it was pretty horrific, to be honest. And the article talked about kind of all that concept around a couple of things. So first of all, the compassion fatigue, which is really understandable. I mean, I've been on this 34 years, and pretty much since I was able to understand what I was looking at, I've seen the image of the West African, you know, black man, whether they be like with a pot belly and flies and just struggling and just need to be given and supported and all of that kind of stuff. And so I've grown up with that kind of all the time. So for 34 years that's been the case. There's so many people that just have compassion fatigue when it comes to the West African man anyway. And then there was a whole concept around that, oh, it's too big a deal for me to kind of fix that. That's a big problem. I'll leave that to the kind of the people that can sort it and people that can deal with it. And there was all that kind of concept too. And you find yourself in this place where you apportion reason to everything other than yourself. And what this article did a really good job of was kind of making you take a look at yourself. And actually, what are you not doing to help those around that you could help? Yes, you could blame it on the media. Yes, you could blame it on the governments for their lack of action. But actually, what about you? What about the inaction that you were doing? That's what this article really challenged you on it. And it is that concept around just do the small that you can do to make a big difference. Think big, act small. I remember the story of Jesus and the woman at the well. I talked about it before, and the backstory that leads to that is that, him and his disciples are pretty hungry, pretty tired, pretty fed up really for some of the stuff that's been going on. Life has just changed dramatically for them, and they're just getting used to it. And they go on this journey, leaving lands that they know to move to another lands, and that involves them going through Samaria. Now, at the time, Jews and Samaritans, they hated each other. There was a real dislike there. The Jews looked down on the Samaritans. They were the worst younger brother that they just had no time for. I mean, yeah, and you see it kind of in the way that Africans and Caribbeans sometimes be towards each other. There's that kind of discourse and distaste for people who are the same. It's quite sad, but it was a reality that was there. And Jesus ends up taking a little rest next to this well. This well goes back to the times of Jacob. So this well's quite an important well, but he's taking a rest there. This lady comes along, and some of you may know the story, some of you may not. And I won't spend time on the story because it's not necessarily the story of what he does with the lady that's so important. But what is key is that he chooses to do a very, very small act that has a massive impact. And that small act is that he decides to talk to this lady. Now, first of all, it was quite obscure for a rabbi to talk to a woman. And secondly, for a rabbi to talk to a Samaritan woman. That's two polar opposites. That's just like, wow, that does not happen. That does not happen. That should not happen. But it did happen. And Jesus chose to do that small act. And that was quite significant. And what that meant was actually, wow, suddenly a whole kind of village was opened up to the possibility of their saviour. And the woman runs back to the village, she tells them all about it, and the rest of the village come out to hear who this person is. That's, he's broken this code, and he's talked about this sort of woman's life like he's known it from day one. And who is he? What's he doing? And that small, simple act became something significant, and it would change the shape of the relationship between Samaritans and Jews going forward. So, do you know when you're looking around and you're thinking, I've got all these hopes and dreams. I want to change the world. I want to cure all the worldly diseases. I want to, save the homeless and find shelter for everyone who's on the streets. I want to change my neighborhood. I want to go to hospitals and work and heal the sick. I want to do all these amazing things. Oh, I just want to send my kids off to university because they can have a greater future. All these big aspirations and thoughts we have, and for some of us, we look at them and go, but the reality is I can never do that. It's too big. What I tell you today, think big, but act small. There are little things you can do today that will take you on that journey, that will do the stepping stones that you need to get to that big, big thought, that big, big dream, that big, big reality. So start today. What small acts can you do today for that great big thing that's going to change your world and everyone's world for the better? Take the lead from Jesus. It was a very simple, small act that made a big difference. Look to the sky, keep your feet on the ground, think big, but act small. Much blessings. Read John chapter 4.